As far as summer goes, I'm not even close to wearing you like clothes when nobody's home. Now I don't see a ghost everywhere I go. Oh, and as far as I know, you need me the most. Now I'm not on the inside anymore. You talk but at the same time saying nothing. Now all I see is daylight when you're gone. If you don't wanna say goodbye, say goodbye. Say nothing, say nothing. No running back, running back. Say nothing, say nothing. If you don't wanna say goodbye, say nothing, say nothing. It isn't so bad, you should know that. Say nothing, say nothing. No running back, running back. You're lying through your teeth when I turn my head. As far as subtleties, well, it's not my best. It hurts to love and leave, I don't love you less. Saw it on your sleeves, you made such a mess. Now I'm not on the inside anymore. You talk but at the same time saying nothing. Now all I see is daylight when you're gone. If you don't wanna say goodbye, say goodbye. Say nothing, say nothing. No running back, running back. Say nothing, say nothing. If you
Hello, welcome. So glad you are here with us. My name's Ann Litt from KCRW here in Los Angeles. And to set the scene for you, Harley is sitting next to me, and you have just seen an incredible video and some visuals that you will never forget. And we're going to get into a little bit about what that's all about. So thank you for joining us. And Harley, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very well. Yeah.
So let's just jump right in. I want you to share the genesis of the album with us, because you were in Los Angeles, beginning of the pandemic, kind of not a great time, it's feeling dark, you decide to go to Australia, and then what happens?
Yeah, so I was in LA for quite a few years, and then the pandemic happened, and yeah, it was kind of dark, and I had a relationship which ended around that time, and yeah, went home and just kind of lived a very wholesome, simple existence. I kind of moved to the countryside, started my own vegetable garden, you know, and yeah, and that's kind of when the music started to really flow, and I was starting to really make things that I was really happy with, and yeah, that's kind of where that album.
So the writing was harder here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I wasn't making as much that I was as happy with here, and then when I moved back, everything just seemed to make sense. I felt really grounded, and I got to spend a lot of time with Jonathan, who just lives down the road. Jonathan Zawada, who art directs the whole project, and yeah. Inspiration flowed.
What's a day of your life like in Byron Bay, where you live now?
I mean,
set the scene.
It's very wholesome. It's very idyllic. I would get up. I would take my dog down to my dad's house. He lives just down the road as well, and go for a surf. Come back, hang out with Dad. You know, have a coffee, have some food, and then go back to mine and yeah, do some music or something. It's an
interesting collaboration you have with all of the people on the album. As you all know, this is the first time you're seeing the track listing, the first time you fans are seeing all the great list of collaborators on the album. I'm going to come back to Nature in a second, but I want to ask you about all the people collaborating on your album. And one that I noticed right away was Damon Albarn.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I actually had the opportunity to interview him a couple of months ago about his new album.
Yeah.
And our conversations were strikingly similar to the ones you and I have had about nature.
Yeah.
He recorded his in Iceland,
yeah, in Iceland,
but in a whole different natural setting, but going back to nature. What was it like? I want to know how you met Damon, how you came to collaborate with him, and then what collaboration was like.
Well, I've always just been a huge fan, like huge Gorillaz fan, and Blur, and everything he'd done. And I'd always wanted to work with him. Whenever people would ask me that question, like, who do you want to work with? It was always Damon Albarn.
Did you know him?
No, I didn't know him at all, but we both played a festival in Las Vegas, actually, and then the day after we got in the studio, and yeah, I met him, and he was kind of hungover. And
Did you all just immediately did you start playing music?
Yeah, I was just like, we just said, what's up, and like sat down, and he's like, play me some stuff, so I started playing him some music, and
did he love it?
No, he didn't. He didn't like anything I played him. I played him like 10 different things, and he wasn't into it, and I was like, all right, the next 10, there's going to be one, and in the next 10, there was nothing, and then eventually I was sweating, because I was like, oh God, this is going to be terrible, yeah. And then I played him this, yeah, it was one of the last things I played him that he was like, yep, this is the one, I really like this, and
that song ended up being the title track of the album.
Yeah, actually, yeah, funnily enough.
Yeah, so Palaces is coming out on May the 20th. Where did the name Palaces come from?
I mean, for me, Palaces is all about going back to Australia, and I kind of felt like I had my palace, and that's where everything kind of made sense.
Oh, interesting.
The whole record kind of...
Because you could think of a palace as being sort of cold, but in your case, it was...
Just the property I was living on, you know?
Luxurious and...
Well, just like simple. And yeah, and you know, there's a lot of wildlife in Australia, and me and Jonathan were always fascinated by it, especially the birds.
Yes.
And they make insane sounds, but they're also like incredibly pretty. And we just wanted to celebrate Australian wildlife, so we kind of made a whole bunch of birds, or Jonathan did.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of how that came about.
Well, you also made a lot of field recordings.
Yeah, lots of field recordings. Yeah, it was
of birds.
Yeah, of just the natural world, like when it would rain sometimes, or I got a little creek which is in a bunch. Yeah, lots of bird sounds, and I just wanted to try and incorporate where I was into the music, and it's really nice because a lot of the stuff I do can be quite cold, you know, like with a lot of like synth stuff.
Sure.
So it's been a really nice kind of contrast with a lot of field recordings.
Well, it's interesting because that sort of juxtaposition, I feel like your album, even Damon, his album, it's full of this, you know, cold, but then you hear a bird call on the album, and putting those two together makes it warm.
Yeah.
You know, unexpectedly warm.
It's an easy way to make it warm.
Oh, there
Yeah,
you go. Everybody,
Little
pro
trick.
tip.
Do some field recordings.
Record birds. I want to go back to the collaborators for a second, though, because I jumped off that. You also worked with Caroline Polachek on this album. You worked with OK Lou.
Yeah.
But this was during the pandemic. So how did you collaborate, and how was it hard?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff happened online, back and forth, because I was in Australia, and you know, everyone's in their own place. So it was different, but you know, honestly, I didn't mind it that much because I kind of grew up working alone, and so it's kind of nice to have a bit of back and forth like that. But yeah, really happy with how it turned out.
Well, it's really fun to finally see the list of all the folks you're working with, and they really each brings. I can't wait for you to hear the album because they each bring a different special warmth to the tracks that they're on. I'd love to take one of your collaborators on the album is with us here on the Zoom today. It's Maya. You can unmute and say hello.
Hi.
Hi.
What's
up?
Thanks for joining us. I would love for you to talk about the video. We haven't actually talked about the video that we all just watched yet. What was your experience like, and how did the two of you come to collaborate?
Experience was really nice. I can't say that I've had anything like that before. So smooth sailing, like no stress on the set. That was so nice. But just flying out to Hobart, sick. I got to see parts of Australia that I haven't seen before. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I stayed in stand for a very long time. That was a unique experience for sure.
I was wondering about that. How long were you in that sand pit?
So like 4 to 6
So
hours.
long. Yeah.
You were in it too.
We were in it, yeah, we were in it. She was in it for longer, I think, but yeah, we're in the sandpit for a while.
I know the song is it's about much more than the sandpit, but I was sort of mesmerized by that when I was watching it.
Having to pee by hours to be was a very interesting experience.
How did you and Harley meet each other?
We kind of met sort of online, on some paths, like back in Australia.
Yeah.
We linked up in Sydney and got in the studio, and yeah.
I love it. Well, I'd like to bring the director of the video into our conversation as well. Are you here, sir?
Yeah.
Michael Hilly?
Hey.
Oh, there you are. Hi. Welcome.
What's up?
Michael Hilly, the director of this video, Say Nothing. And I understand you're a man of many props, and I'd love to hear some about the direction. What inspired you about the song? Did you hear the song early on in its process? Did you hear it later? What inspired you the most?
No, I had a much different introduction to this song than I'd usually have on a music video, because I was brought into the project by Jonathan Zawada, the wonderful creative director that's just worked with Harley for such a long time now. And I was first introduced to the conceptual world that Harley and Jonathan had built. So from the get-go, it was about a broader context of the album and ideas they've had as friends and collaborators for a long time. So the track almost came at the back end, which was sort of a really lovely process for me because we were able to concentrate on the conceptual ideas, and then I could approach the music as a collection of sounds that we were using to accent the broader concept.
It's so intricate and just incredible to watch. The visuals are amazing, and I know that's something you and Jonathan, I'd love to bring you in to the conversation now. Jonathan Zawada, the creative director, with you, Harley, on this project. And I know I've asked you about the genesis of the project, but I think it would be really interesting because you all create this incredible world together that Michael brings to life. And would you talk about your collaboration and how you came to work together and what that's like?
Yeah, I mean, we came to work together because I was constantly just sending references of, well, I was just, coming up with references for what I wanted things in the project to look like, and I realized I was basically just sending Jonathan Zawada references constantly. So I'm like, we should probably hit up Jonathan Zawada. So we finally got in contact, and yeah, we were, I think you were down to do like the album cover or something, and then we kind of hung out and kind of got along really well, and
Right.
had a really same level kind of when it came to creative stuff. We just gelled great. So now, yeah, ever since then we've just been doing more and more, and yeah, it's been so great to have someone that I can feel like I can kind of talk to and
Yeah.
has such great ideas and can do stuff.
Well, can you talk a little more in depth, either Jonathan or Harley, about the actual video itself and about the visuals and the
vast, complicated world.
yeah,
Yeah.
the vast, complicated. Well, I don't even know how to describe
in a
it.
nutshell.
Yeah.
Jonathan, you got
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah, when we've tried to do this
Enlighten
before,
us.
it's been like a 2-hour explanation. Everybody's sort of come out of the other end going, kind of understand what you're talking about. So, yeah, in a nutshell, it would be hard to do. I think for this video in particular, as Michael was saying, it sort of ends up being this kind of mega cut that samples this giant universe that Harley and I were talking about, and that was slowly developed as he was finishing off the record. And really, it's sort of, there's so much to it. If I start talking about it, I'll end up just using up the rest of that call time.
Well, maybe go back to the whole natural world versus the not the colder
cyber world, yeah.
Yeah, the other world. Talk about that, because that's obviously something that's important to both of you and something you bonded over, really.
Yeah, I mean, we have always been fascinated by the natural world, and yeah, the birds were all native Australian birds. And
What's the name of the bird that was in the...
that's a drongo, I think, right? It's the drongo.
Spangled drongo.
What's it called? The what?
Spangled
Spangled
drongo.
drongo. Spangled drongo.
But what was it about nature and...
Okay, so basically we were like thinking about what would it be like if Mother Nature could have a say in what happens in the world, and
Okay.
if Mother Nature could invest in things, and what would it invest in? And I was like, well, what's hurting Mother Nature the most? And we're like, well, people, really, just like overpopulation,
Yeah.
people. So they'd probably invest in things that are, going to curb that, whether it's like a condom brand or like smoking, for example.
Oh, so invest in cigarettes.
So it's like,
Oh,
that
got
like
you.
want
Okay.
to make money, but also trying to protect itself.
Yeah.
Nature's trying to protect itself.
It's an
so that
interesting concept.
Yeah, just like from that point of view. So this bike ride, the bikes that I have, it's all vasectomax, like vasectomies, and yeah, things that are even like euthanasia, for example. So it's kind of we just thought that was an interesting take. So that's kind of where that.
It was such an interesting thing. I think Harley and I had been talking for a lot of last year while you're finishing off the record about these ideas that felt really hard to discuss, but that we found really compelling and interesting. And then it felt like this, packaging it into this, all of the artwork in this world and imagining this world was a way you could approach these concepts that are quite challenging otherwise, and sort of explore what they might mean in different ways.
Well, it's an interesting video because it's so beautiful. I mean, it's just visually just a feast for eyes. But then there's parts of it that are really disturbing. I mean, quite frankly.
Yeah,
That's all Hilly.
Yeah, Hilly made it disturbing.
But that was part of the juxtaposition.
Yeah,
right?
well, I mean, we've got like, the thing is this video is really like a sample plate of the world that we've created.
Right.
And you see a bit of a lot of stuff. And as the campaign progresses, we're going to have some of the disturbing stuff. There's like also a disturbing song to go along with it,
Yes.
and it's going to be really disturbing. There's kind of bits and pieces that you'll see throughout the rest
So you're
of the
telling
campaign.
a story. You're going to let us find out bits of the story as we go along.
But the video is kind of the creation of the motorbike rider.
Yeah.
So at the end, he's kind of standing there, and
And I asked you this before we started, but do you ride motorcycles?
well, I own two now. thanks to these videos. So I better learn pretty quick.
Yes, you better.
Yeah, I haven't got off first gear yet,
Okay.
but
Well, I suggest
planning
you
on it.
learn in Byron Bay,
Yeah.
not in Los Angeles.
yeah, I think I'll do it at home.
Yeah, for sure. I know there's so many folks on the line, and you guys have questions that you wanted to ask, and we would love, love, love to hear from you if you have any special questions that you want to ask Harley. I know you're going to give me some questions, but I can ask you. We got questions? All right, panel, do you have any questions? I have more questions. Oh, here we go.
We got questions.
Oh, good. Here we go. Are the birds on the covers real species or more like inspired by real birds?
No, they're all real birds. Yeah, they're all Australian native birds.
So in that the pre kind of thing that we were watching before the video started, that was a real Australian. That was a real bird.
Yeah, I mean, all the birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the birds are. They're all native Australian birds. We've got like an ibis. You wouldn't.
That's okay,
Yeah.
but they're beautiful to look at, and the colors.
I mean, Jonathan's obviously made them insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Okay, here's a question for you. And if you follow Harley on social media, on Instagram, you know about the chia pet. So
yeah.
we have someone.
Oh, the chia pet.
Someone wants to know
Man,
how the
that
chia
thing,
pet is
I can't
doing.
believe I did that thing years ago, and people still talk about the chia pet. I mean, I love chia pets, but yeah, it's got a lot of mileage out of that
Yeah.
Instagram post.
I know.
What do you want to know?
Here's another one. What is
the chia pet doing these days?
Yeah, how is the chia pet?
Oh, the
Just
chia
tell us
pet.
how the chia
terrible.
pet is.
Yeah, it's doing
Terrible.
terrible. Yeah, it's
Nobody's
died years
watering
ago.
it years.
No,
Okay.
no, but I should start it up again. I mean,
You should.
yeah, I'm going to do that.
You can
actually.
do that throughout
You know,
throughout your tour.
Yeah.
Take the chia
when
pet with you.
management's like, we need more Instagram content.
There you
I'll
go.
have the chia pet ready to go.
Chia pet is done. This is an interesting one that it's what was the hardest, longest element or part to work on the new album? I think what they're asking is what was the hardest, most difficult, challenging part of working on the album?
I
for you?
mean, it's always the same. It's always finishing it. Finishing it is always the hardest.
Do you
Yeah.
have a moment where you say, and maybe it was you and Jonathan or you yourself and your dad,
Yeah.
who go, huh, okay, done, I got it.
Well, it's never actually done, but it gets to a point where I'm like, all right, I'm okay with this to come out with it like this.
Right.
Yeah, but I always feel like there's more you could do. But,
But then-
I've learned to like be like, let go.
Right,
You know, you
right.
gotta let go.
But then as you start touring around it, and start playing it more, no doubt pieces of music will evolve.
I
would guess.
mean, the live show will evolve for sure, but the music's
Yeah.
locked in. It's
Yeah.
locked in. It's on Spotify.
Oh, it is. All
That's
right.
it.
Let's see. Oh, here's a question for you. When and if you feel uninspired or drained, what do you do to find inspiration and motivation again?
Just go on a big music hunt. Yeah, ask people for music. I think I get a lot of inspiration from like buying a new synth or finding weird plugins online, or like I recently just found this huge sample library of like 90s sample CDs,
Yeah.
CD-ROMs.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just kind of trying to get as much stuff.
Well, it seems like you also took a lot of inspiration from going back to where you
Oh
started.
yeah, just space and simplicity and
And I think that was a lot in the pandemic. I mean, we've
Yeah.
heard a lot about artists. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic wondering out loud what kind of art would come out of this. And it's remarkable.
I think there's probably going to be a lot of good stuff coming out this year.
This is going to be an epic year.
This is
for
going to be an
music.
epic year for music.
It is, and an epic year for you. I know we need to wind up things. Thank you all so much for all these great questions. I'm sure there's tons more. But we thank you for putting in the questions. And the album is called Palaces. It's coming out on May the 20th. And what would you like to share as your parting thought about the album?
Well, I'm just excited to get it out there. Thanks for coming and checking out this live stream.
Yeah.
And, I'm pumped.
It's great. I think you'll enjoy the collaborations, and maybe people will join you. Some of your collaborators will join you when you're touring.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That's good. Well, thank you all so much for joining us for the live stream for the new Flume album, Palaces, and the song Say Nothing. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night.
Bye.
Thanks.